Should you wait for the Toronto fall market or buy right now? I just had 3 different clients ask me this exact question this week, and honestly, the answer might surprise you. Look, everyone's telling you to wait for the fall market. Prices will drop more. They say interest rate will come down. They promise. But here's what they're not telling you. I've been tracking the GTA market data for the past 5 years, and what I discovered about fall 2025 could save you thousands or cost you even more if you get this wrong. My name is Antonio. I'm with the Andy San team here in the Greater Toronto area. And in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to break down exactly what's happening in our market right now, why this fall is different from previous years, and give you the exact framework I use with my clients to make this decision. But first, let me show you something that's going to change how you think about timing the market. Here's what exactly happening in the Toronto market right now. And I'm going to show you the numbers that most agents won't share with you. July 2025 just posted the highest sales number since 2021. Sounds bullish, right? But here's the catch. We're still in the bottom 5 years for sales volume when you look at the bigger picture. More importantly, active listings are up over double what sales increased. That means inventory is outpacing demand, which typically puts us in buyer territory. Now, I had a client last month, let's call her Sarah, who was convinced she would wait until October. She was looking at condos in Markham, and her logic was simple. Prices are dropping, so why not wait for them to drop more? But here's what Sarah didn't consider, and what most buyers miss. While she was waiting for prices to drop another 2 to 3%, interest rates started moving. The Bank of Canada next announcement is September 17th. And here's the thing, even if they cut rates, we're still in that neutral territory between 2.25% and 3.25%. So Sarah's monthly payment, it barely changed. Maybe $13 less per month on a $100,000 mortgage. But a condo she was looking at, it went from $780,000 to $820,000 because 3 other buyers had the same idea she did. Now, let's talk about what's really going to happen this fall. Because I'm seeing some things in the data that's concerning. We just saw numbers of listings being terminated in June and July. I'm talking about 10,000 terminations in June alone, the highest we've ever seen. Now, there are 3 reasons why sellers terminate their listings. First, they give up completely. Second, they're planning to relist later, maybe in the fall. Third, they're putting the property into the rental pool instead. Here's my concern. If even half of those terminated listings come back in September and October, we're going to see a flood of inventory hit the market, right when everyone expects the fall market surge. Think about it. You got pent-up buyer demand from people who waited through the summer, but you also potentially have pent-up supply from all these terminated listings. I'm already seeing this with my seller clients. Just yesterday, I had a seller in Richmond Hill tell me, Antonio, my neighbor said I should wait until September to list because that's when buyers come back. But what happens when everyone has that same strategy? You get increased competition, longer days on market, and potentially even more price pressure. So here's the framework I use with every single client who asks me this question. I call it the time versus money matrix. And it's based on your specific situation, not market timing. First question, do you need to move or do you want to move? If you need to move, job relocation, growing family, downsizing, for retirement, then timing the market becomes secondary to finding the right property. Second question, what's your carrying cost of waiting? This is where most people messed up. They focus on potential savings but ignore the actual costs. Let me give you a real example. I had clients, let's call them Mike and Lisa, who were renting in North York for $3,200 a month while waiting for the perfect time to buy. They waited 8 months, that's $25,600 in rent with 0 equity building. Meanwhile, the townhouse they were looking at went from $1.1 million to $1.05 million. They saved about $50,000 on purchase price but spent $25,600 in rent. Net savings, $24,400. Well, here's the kicker. They also missed out on 8 months of principal paydown and potential appreciation. When you factor in the opportunity cost, they basically broke even, and that's in a declining market. Third question, what's your risk tolerance? If you're the type of person who's going to lose sleep over potentially overpaying by $20,000, then maybe waiting makes sense for your peace of mind. But if you're more concerned about missing out on the right property, then acting when you find it might be better. Here's what I'm actually telling my clients right now, and this might be controversial, but it's based on 7 years of watching this market. For buyers, if you find a property that checks 80% of your boxes and it's priced fairly for today's market, don't wait for perfection. The market might give you a better price in 6 months, or it might not, but it definitely won't give you back the 6 months you spent waiting. For sellers, if you're thinking about listing in the fall because that's when buyers come back, you might want to really reconsider. The fall market this year could be flooded with inventory from everyone who had the same idea. I actually just listed a property in North York a few months back. My seller asked, should we wait until September? I told him, let's test the market now when there's less competition. And if it doesn't work, we can always adjust our strategy. Guess what? We had 3 showings in the first weekend and an offer by Tuesday. Sometimes the best time to sell is when everyone else is waiting to sell. Now, I'm not saying rush into anything. I'm saying don't let market timing paralysis prevent you from making good decisions when opportunities present themselves. The truth is, nobody can predict exactly what's going to happen in the fall market. What I can tell you is that the fundamentals haven't changed. Location still matters, conditions still matters, and pricing still matters. So should you wait or buy now? Here's my honest answer. It depends on your situation, not the market's situation. If you're waiting for the perfect market conditions, you might be waiting forever. But if you're making decisions based on your life circumstances, your financial situation, and finding the property that makes sense for you, then you're already ahead of 90% of people trying to time the market. The clients who do best in any market are the ones who focus on finding good value rather than perfect timing. They negotiate well, they get proper inspection, they understand the local market, and they work with agents who will give them honest advice even when it's not what they want to hear. If you're thinking about buying or selling in the GTA and want to discuss your specific situation, I'll be happy to chat. You can book a call with our team. All the information is in the description below, and if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I do these market updates every month when the Toronto Real Estate Board releases the data, and I always try to give you the real story, not just the headlines. What do you think? Are you waiting for the fall market or looking to make a move now? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one and I'll respond with my thoughts on your situation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.